All right, we're ready to get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular notice of the regular session of Angelina County Commissioners Court. Let the record show that all the members of the court are present. And if you would, please all stand, and we would like to have the opening prayer by Reverend Randy Brown from the Southside Baptist Church. Randy?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. I thank you for not only our county commissioners and judge, but even employees that do the work for our county. We pray, God, that you would bless them, you would use them, help them be faithful in their task. I pray today, Lord, you give wisdom and discernment as a lot of decisions are made. We pray these things in Christ's name.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Randy. And if you would, remain standing as we honor the American flag. Commissioner Cheshire is going to lead us in it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And remain standing as Commissioner Harrison leads us in the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, guys. Everybody be seated. Now we're going to open up the public forum. Has anybody wanted to discuss anything that we've got on the agenda, with the exception of the special public forum that we've got coming up a little further down? Any other signatures? All right. If there's nobody on that list, then we're going to go ahead and close the public forum. And item number 5, discussion action on minutes for October 22nd, 2019 Commissioners Court. Gentlemen?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 6, discussion action on awarding a contract for professional auditing services for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2019, with an annual renewal option for years 2020 and 2021. Janice?
We went out for, advertised for a request for proposal for professional auditing services for the year ending 2019 with subsequent renewal for 2020 and 2021. We had 4 accounting firms that submitted a proposal and a fee schedule to perform those audits. They were Alexander Langford and Hires, Axley and Rohde here in Lufkin, Belt, Harris and Pichachek out of Houston, and Haney and Company out of San Antonio. The fees ranged from $30,000 to $94,995. The review committee consisted of the internal auditor, Doug Durham, the county attorney, Carrie Kirby, and myself, Janice Cordray. And after reviewing the proposals and the fee schedules, the recommendation is that we award the contract to Axley and Rohde for the audit this year with subsequent years of 2020 and 2021. Once the firm that is awarded the contract is notified, then they will submit an engagement letter to the county. And my request today is that we award the contract to Axley and Rohde with the county auditor being authorized to sign the engagement letter.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Guys, I guess the bids were all competitive down in the 35.
Well, Axley and Rohde had the lowest bid,
Okay.
and they ranged from $30,000 to $94,995.
Got you. Okay. No other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jeff. All right, item number 7, discussion action on awarding the bid for timber standing and growing upon approximately 4 acres of land owned by Angelina County located in the V. Padilla Survey, Abstract 35 in Angelina County, Texas, part of the Angelina County Airport. We do have, Counselor, do you want to address this? Do you?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Morning.
As you may recall, the court went out or approved the airport to go out for bids on, to sell about 4 acres of timber they've got growing out there that need to be cleared out for the runway. And as I believe there was only one bid received, and that was from Thomas Parker. Is that correct, Judge? We got one bid.
Correct. That is correct.
And he's the only bid, and we've reviewed the bid. I don't know of any reason to reject it. It's submitted on a weight basis. He has submitted various prices for different types of timber, for pine saw timber, hardwood saw timber, pine pulpwood, and hardwood pulpwood. Those figures are set out on the bid, and I think you probably have a copy of it in your packet. But that's the only bid the court has before it today, and so the options are to award that bid to Mr. Parker, and we would negotiate a contract with him and have the judge sign it, or the other option is to reject the bid. We've reviewed it, and I'm not aware of any basis to reject it. Judge, you had a chance to look at it as well.
Right, it looks fine. It's
Anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions I can. That's the extent of my knowledge about it.
right. Gentlemen?
Motion to approve.
I got, before we go too much further, I have some concerns about the price he offered us on the price of hardwood. I know hardwood is at a premium at market value right now, and I don't have a concern with the pine timber at all, but hardwood timber is at extreme premium, and these prices that he's offered us are extremely low. And I'd like the court to consider that. Pardon?
I think when I talked to the airport manager about that, I had noticed that, and I think his comment was that on this particular tract, 4 acres,
There's not
which isn't
that-
very
there's-
large, there's not much there, and there was
Not a
much to
problem.
be concerned about.
Well, I haven't looked at the land,
Right.
so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable with it, I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
We had to authorize the judge to sign the contract.
Right.
It is a small tract, and the timber is not all in one, one
Right.
single location. It's spread around some, so.
Right.
I think as a result of all that, we only received the one bid on it. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Pitts, you gonna amend? Yeah, amend that motion to approve with the authorizing the judge to sign. Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor with the amendment. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Kurt. Item number 8, parents of Michael G. Parker, Everett Griffin Jr. and Associates, to discuss and request approval of the final plat of Long Pines, Phase 1 in Precinct 3. Michael?
Good morning. This is 8 lots that either front on John Cobb Road or on Jerry Van Road. They're all larger lots, anywhere from about 2.5 acres up to 12+ acres. The location of these, part of it goes with the center of a road, so we've put the 25-foot road easement on there so that covers for the county on maintenance, and we've also covered it with the drainage and utility easement along all the roads outside that road easement. These are lots that, this is the first phase to see how things go. I have talked to Commissioner Pitts on these lots. I have supplied him with information about the water, that it is, for these lots, there is additional water service available for these lots, and we'll answer any questions or ask you to approve this final plat.
I don't have any issues with it.
What is this? Right here where this comes in. where
It
this
probably
road
comes
is here.
across from Mimosa.
It is.
Sometimes the land will go across the road.
You know, there's a piece that we don't own on this side of the road that
That's what
belongs.
I'm looking at.
They,
Yeah, that's-
both the lots still have frontage, and they're big,
Right.
you know, Lord, 2.7 to 3.3, but this was something been cut out years ago that
Okay.
somebody owns that little triangle across the road.
Right,
It's not,
okay.
it's
I-
not
that's
our
And you
what
own.
see that every now and then where the property goes all
Right.
the way across the road.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, item number 9, appearance again of Michael G. Parker, Everett Rivet Jr. and Associates, to discuss and request approval of the final plat of Robinson Lane, FM Highway 2109 subdivision in Precinct 3. Michael?
Yes, this is just a 2.13 acre tract, that there's a house on one lot, but if they're selling it, selling the vacant lot, so we're dividing it into 2 lots. Both have frontage on 2109, but the corner lot obviously has frontage on Robinson Lane also. And once again, put on the road easement on Robinson Lane, and put on the utility and drainage easement on Farm Road and on Robinson Lane. I've talked once again with Commissioner Pitts, and once again, we'll entertain any questions or ask your approval to approve the final plat.
No issues on that one either.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, and Sally has the care of the originals up at the office.
Understand there's a change. We're supposed to start dating these from now? Okay.
It's got a place on there.
All right, thank you. Item number 10, Commissioners Court, Commissioner, Angelina County Commissioners Court will now open a public hearing concerning the amount of the mandatory providers' participation payments that the Angelina County Commissioners Court intends to require of all local hospitals in fiscal year 2020, and how the revenue derived from these payments is to be spent as per LPPF, Local Providers Participation Fund. I noticed that we have a lot of individuals here from the hospitals and also from the fund. If you would, as you come up, if you'd like to address this, and please do, because this is a public forum, announce your name so we can get your name down on the public forum statement. Who wants to go first? You look real excited. You're ready to go. Okay.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Thank
Morning.
you for your time to being here. I'm Gary Bull, the CFO at Woodland Heights Medical Center.
Thanks, sir.
Simply put, this is a program that we've participated in many years before. It helps us cover a lot of uncompensated care in this community. It's a safety net opportunity for us, partnering with the county. And I'll let Annie get into more of the technicalities of how the funds are used and how we submit as a local provider, us, to the IGT, and then how that's processed. But more than anything, it is a great opportunity for us to provide care and get reimbursed as a hospital for uncompensated care for individuals who aren't able to afford insurance and, fall on hard times. So again, we're thankful for the opportunity. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, gentlemen.
No questions.
There's also Annie, if you would, please.
Thanks, Gary. My name is Annie Dostovsky. I work for Adelanto Healthcare Ventures. Our firm works with hospitals to help them get reimbursed for the cost of treating uninsured and Medicaid patients. In Angelina County, specifically, we work with Gary at Woodland Heights and also Shelley Brooks from CHI Memorial. So we're here today just to, one, say thank you for your continued support of the LPPF, and also to request the SFY 2020 mandatory payment rate. At a very high level, I'll try to not bore you with the details, but at a high level, the LPPF is an assessment on providers in the community so that they're able to draw down federal dollars to support uncompensated care in Angelina County. It's a really important program, one, to the financial health of these hospitals, but also to making sure that that healthcare is provided in the community. And it does that without any expense to taxpayers in your community, which is, you know, I think an important piece as well. So with that, just want to say thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I understand last year we were at 6%, which was the maximum amount, and this year the request has come in at a lower rate.
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct. So the reason for that is the reimbursement that we're talking about is related to specific programs that the state offers. There's the URIP program, the DSRIP program, and the uncompensated care program. And each of those hospitals are entitled to certain dollars each year. The dollars that the state has determined these hospitals to be entitled to in this coming year is lower than it was last year. So they need less dollars in that fund to support their reimbursement.
Right. Okay. Any questions? Yes. All right. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Woodland Heights, do you need to, do you need to address the court?
No, sir, I just would echo what Gary said, and
Okay.
that we, CHI, support the rate, proposed rate, and that it does, thank you guys for your continued support. It does bring in millions of dollars in supplemental funding for our hospitals to be able to care for our community.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you, Shelley.
That rate is 5.19 right now, is that what you're saying? Okay.
It's gone down almost a full percent.
What was it?
6.
Was it? Okay.
6%.
Good.
Nobody here from Oceans, I guess? Healthcare? Okay. All right. If there's no one else at this time, item number 11, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And item number 12, discussion action on the amounts of any mandatory payments to be assessed on the non-public hospital located within Angelina County to fund the Local Providers Participation Fund, LPPF. And as Commissioner Harrison mentioned, the new rate has been set and it is much lower. Gentlemen, is there motion to continue?
Just, yeah, motion to continue. What are we gonna do?
To approve the new mandatory
Yeah, let's
payment.
just go ahead and, motion to approve the new mandatory rate at 5.19%.
Okay.
Second.
And a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 13, appearance of Jill Brewer, County Treasurer, requesting discussion action on a resolution to add financial northeastern companies to the approved investor list. Jill?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I hope everyone enjoyed their long weekend. About a month or so ago, I met with Sam Vaughn. He is the Vice President of Financial Northeastern Companies, and he is a CD broker. As I've talked to you gentlemen over the course of this year, I've told you I've wanted to diversify. And so in order to diversify and try to head off some of these lower interest rates that we're going to start seeing, because Federal Reserve has dropped their interest rate again. And I know it's good for the community, I know it's good for the nation, I know all that, but it hurts us as a government. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to diversify in what we invest in so we can kind of hedge some of that, even though hedging is not allowed, okay? It's just a word I use. So what we're talking about is we have a CD broker, and they invest in only federally, let me see if I can say this right, federally insured certificates of deposit. So that is like our insured cash sweep, which is also federally insured, but we'll have to go with different banks. So we'll always have to provide them with a list of banks that our insured cash sweep is invested in, so we don't double invest, because then it's no longer federally insured. I don't know why that word's so hard for me. And what we'll do is, in the future, we'll invest based on maturity rates. And then it'll be interest rates. So what I am trying to do is, like I said earlier, is I'm trying to keep our interest rates up as high as I can with what I have available to me. And this particular company is not on our list. This is not something that we do currently. But since they're federally insured and I can invest anywhere from 90 days to a year and longer, if you so give me permission to, I don't recommend that we do anything longer than a year. They'll only offer us CDs that are newly issued, which means there's not going to be a par value and there won't be a discount. So that means we won't pay higher or lower and hope that we come out okay in the end of it. It'll be newly issued, so it'll just be the face value on it. So we're not trying to take any risks. I'm just trying to keep, because our interest rates are going down. The last time I gave the treasurer's report at the end of September, Greg, you noted that we were at 2.2 on our interest rate with our insured cash sweep. Well, at the end of October, it's 1.89. So I just want to let you guys know, I don't have any control over that, but I do have control over diversifying our portfolio. And I'm not saying I want to run out and invest with them today or tomorrow or next week, but there's going to come a time where the CD market is higher than what our investment pools are. And I don't want to wait until that time comes. I want to be ready. So when it does come and they call me and they say, hey, I can offer you a higher interest rate if you'll do these CDs for 90 days, then you can get with the investment pools. I don't want to, it's like you guys having a piece of equipment out on your yard that you don't use every day. You don't use it every month, but you do need it. And I don't know what the name of that equipment would be. I guess maybe a great awl or a reclaimer. I don't even know if you guys have any of that. But it's not something you would use every day. But if it's something you know you're going to need over the course of the year, you don't run out and buy it the day after you needed it. Right. You have it on hand before time. So that's what I want to do with this. I want to have it in our approved list before the time comes that we need it, so I can use that as a vehicle to keep our interest rates up. Why are you frowning at me, Judge? Are you confused? Are you concerned?
This Financial Northeastern Company, they're actually a broker. They're not working as an advisor agency. They're
exactly. Yes,
a broker.
They're a broker.
Their rates right now, they must be very attractive, otherwise you wouldn't be talking to them, so.
Well, their interest rates are just as attractive as anyone else. They're just the only ones that have approached me.
Okay.
And with him offering us a federally insured CDs, I have a hard time saying no to that because it's just like our cash sweep account. They're insured, so they're 100% guaranteed, and I don't want to say no to that. Now, if he was saying we'll invest in commercial paper, which is short-term debt, I'm going to have to say no to that, but that's not what he was offering us. He was offering us something that we could use in the future. Cool. And he offered, he also said we could invest for 3 months or as long as 5 years if we wanted to. So the interest rate would have to really be good for 5 years. But that would be beyond my term, and I don't see where anything over a year would be feasible. Okay. Because that takes down our liquidity, and we need it to be liquid.
Things are changing.
They are changing quickly, so I wanted to be proactive and get them on our list. Right. And I may not stop with this one. I may find somebody else out there that offers something that's competitive. So if we have more than one broker, then we can pick and choose what we want instead of being at their mercy.
Okay, gentlemen.
Make a motion that we approve adding Financial Northeastern companies to the approved vendor list. Second. I'm assuming we all have to sign it?
You all have to sign it?
With
yes.
Court signature.
Yeah.
I like everybody's
5
signature.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be approved by everyone, and if you don't understand anything, please ask me now. I'll be more than happy to do my best to explain it to you.
I'd like to commend you on your presentation to this court.
Yeah.
Done an
Any further
excellent job.
questions? Yeah.
I didn't hear a word you said.
I said I would like to commend you on your presentation to this court.
Oh.
You've done an excellent job.
Well, thank you. So,
All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Jill.
thank you.
All right. Item number 14. Discussion action on accepting a grant from the Texas Attorney General Office for the statewide automated victim notification service, SAVNS, with the judge's signature. This is a program that we approve every year that is actually operated out of the jail for any victim that may come in contact with someone that's being released. It's a great program, and we do this every year. It's also tied in with the agency that actually does the notifications. And that particular agency, APRIS, notified us about 3 days after we had already put this on the agenda to be approved. We can approve this one part of the statewide automated victim notification service, but we need to wait for 2 weeks until the next Commissioner's Court so we can get it on the agenda to approve the APRIS also. That particular agency is just the one that actually does the notification. They're actually the agency that does the notification for this particular Attorney General program. So I guess my question is, Counselor, do you agree that we need to go ahead and approve this and then approve the other at a later date?
Judge, the court could go ahead and approve the acceptance of the grant today.
All right.
That's what's listed on the agenda is the contractual agreement with the Attorney General's office to approve and accept the grant. And again, as you pointed out, the APRIS agreement is the agreement with the service provider. It's a separate agreement which can be taken up at the next meeting with the court.
We'll do that in 2 weeks.
So moved.
Are we under contract with them now?
Yes, I have been for quite a while.
Did it go out in September?
Apparently so, it's renewed yearly. It's renewed yearly, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that was my question. Does it automatically renew?
No, it has to be re-signed each year. And the grant, the APRIS, they sent a new contract to us. It just appeared 3 days after we had already put everything on the agenda.
If you guys will remember, last year, we had the grant approved for the term, but the state had problems getting, approving the certified vendor, APRIS. And we didn't approve APRIS's contract until late in the year. And I think when we ended up paying APRIS, which this money that we get from the grant, we pay APRIS. And I think we may have ended up having to pay them all in one lump sum last year. Because the state there was issues and the state finally approved their contract.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we got 2 seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, let's see here. Item number 15, discussion action on adoption of the 2020 employer contribution rate for the Cdrs retirement benefit plan for Angelina County employees. Janice?
Our contribution rate for the retirement program is currently 10.05%, and that is what we have contributed for the last several years, and that is what we're recommending to do for 2020. That's what has already been approved in the budget. That contribution was at 10.05%. Our fund is 91.5% funded, and that's what it was for last year, or for this year, 2019. And the rate that's required for us to meet our needs of the retirement fund is 9.94%, which we're contributing the 10.05, which is more than that. Last year, I keep saying last year, for 2019, the required rate was 9.5. So our rate is going up, that is required. And then, but next year, before we have our budget process, I'm going to request that a representative from the retirement system come and speak to the court, because with the volatility and our fund being close to being fully funded, they're going to make some recommendations that we change our contribution rate. So at that point in time, I'll ask them to come and make a presentation to the court, so it'll be done before our budget process. But currently, I'm asking that the court approve our rate, which is currently 10.05, to leave it the same at 10.05%.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, appearance of Doug Durham, item number 16, internal auditor requesting approval of the internal audit charter for Angelina County. And
Good morning,
Doug, if you
gentlemen.
would, explain the importance of the charter.
Sure.
Okay.
Gentlemen, I began to work for the county, I believe the date was July 1st, so I'm fairly new. During that time, I've looked for opportunities for improvement, areas that I might be able to help to strengthen the county's internal audit function. And one of those areas is found in the internal audit charter document that you've got in front of you. It's my desire for the audits that I perform, ranging from the planning all the way to the reporting and then the follow-up of the activities, to be in compliance with the standards of the Internal Institute of Auditors. And the very first step in that process is for you as the governing body to adopt the charter that you've got in front of you. And I've tried to list a few of the anticipated questions in a little FAQ document that you should have received. In short, on your end, no additional requirements will be added. Rather, it'll be on my end as the internal auditor. It just states that there are certain requirements of me and how I go about performing audits. And then as they are completed, the results have to be communicated to you, and then they have to be followed up on. In short, the charter doesn't add anything that's not already found in the local government code that's required of the county auditor's office. And so if you have additional questions, I'll be glad to entertain those. Hopefully, though, I've been clear in the FAQ document that you've received and also in the charter itself. I'd like to add that if you do choose to adopt that document today, it would require the signature of the county judge, all the commissioners, and the county auditor.
Are we mandated to do this? This is a mandate, isn't it?
It is, and it isn't. It's a mandate from the internal auditor
If-
as an increase.
If the county chooses to abide by the statutes of the Institute of Internal Auditors, which again is
To
not
remain compliant?
to be compliant with those statutes. And again, it's really work on my end, not yours.
But it's not a government requirement, it's actually a requirement from the county auditor statutes.
Right. So in short, no, it's not required. It's a best practice and I encourage it. It would be stricter requirements for me as I perform audit work.
So you want more work to do?
I want to be sure that I have dotted all of my i's, crossed all of my t's, done my work to the highest ability possible. And this would help to do that.
This is not something that, as far as I'm aware of, that the county has ever done, and I think it would be a step in the right direction to ensure that the county is doing everything that it can to make sure that we are in compliance with the auditing standards and that we're, being as transparent as possible.
I make a motion to approve the internal audit charter with all the required signatures.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
And I might mention right quick, it's not actually on the agenda, but Doug, our internal auditor, is also working with the new personnel manual that we're working on now, and all the things that have been sent in by the commissioners and all of the department heads throughout the county have been compiled and actually gone to him to review and look over improvements on that. So we're also trying to improve that. It's badly needed. All right, item number 17, Discussion action on appointment of members to be added to the Angelina County Historical Commission for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Names are Pablo Torres, Roy Reyes, and Taylor Camiato. Gentlemen? Motion.
Replacing members?
Adding additional, one is being replaced, and we were, short, two, I think.
Motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, item number 18, discussion action on approving 2 additional grant positions, Assistant District Attorney and Investigator for the Angelina County District Attorney's Office for the calendar year 2020, on accepting the grant which will fund the 2 positions and on providing the required matching funds for the 2020 grant positions.
Is this the one we talked about before?
It is.
And
It is.
we figured out a way to do it?
Yes,
Counselor?
yes. District Attorney and I and the auditor have all been working on this, and we think that, yes, there is a way to do this. The matching part for us, once the grant comes in, was just a little over 50,000, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this item was on the court's agenda at our last meeting, and it was tabled at that time. And so what's being proposed is 2 additional grant positions for the district attorney's office. And at that meeting, there was some concern that might be an unlawful amendment of our budget because these funds were not, and positions were not in the original budget that was approved earlier this year. And we looked at that since that meeting, and I provided the court with a letter opinion on that matter. And there is a way that it can be accomplished, and that's essentially to set up a special budget for the grant positions at the time that money is received. And there's a statute in the chapter on budget laws in the local government code that allows for that. And so once that money comes in and is certified as being received by the auditor, the court can approve a special budget for those positions. There is the issue that the positions require an additional, I think the figure's approximately $50,000 in matching funds to cover some of the benefits. And that can, at that time, can be transferred from another existing account into the budget that's set up for these 2 positions without violating the budget laws. Of course, there would need to be some sort of decision made on where those funds would come from. And it would need to come from an existing account, such as the contingency fund.
I'd like to suggest the court, we approved a couple positions for them already for 2020. I think it would be prudent for this court if we allowed them to use this grant money to pay for those positions that we approved and set those funds aside, and then next year, when they apply for these grants and we approve their budget, the funds would be available, and if they got the grant, then it just kind of go forward, let these grants pay for the positions that we approved previously in our 2020 budget.
The motion?
No,
It's no
it's a discussion.
discussion, just an offer. It's an idea. Instead of us having to go back and amend the budget.
Yeah, like we do.
Right.
Wasn't one of those other ones a grant
The other
position
one-
as well?
The other one was a grant. There was one position that we added and then the other position was a granted
Grant.
position. And these, we had addressed what Commissioner Cheshire is talking about, and District Attorney and I had thought that probably at this point in time, these additional two positions that, where the grant has already been approved from the state, would confuse the issue if we tried to go back and pay for those original positions with this grant money, would create a problem.
Well, I think you still
Judge-
stand a chance of losing one, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Because there's actually 3 grant positions.
There's actually 3 grant positions and 3, actually 2 separate grants. One grant position has, one grant has 2 positions in it. It's actually a grant team, and it has an investigator and an ADA.
And to clarify, the court in its original budget approved 2 new positions. There was an attorney position and an investigator position, and also approved a grant position for a victim assistance coordinator, which was a total of 3. And currently before the court is 2 additional grant positions.
Right.
And the original 3 positions are in the budget, so they're already budgeted and funds set aside for those positions. The new grant funds, if accepted and received, would be additional money
For
later in the
2
year,
more
or early
positions.
next year. I'm not sure procedurally there's an easy way at this point to go back and apply those funds to positions that are already budgeted and approved. I think they're designated for these specific positions.
That's what we were afraid of, is going back and trying to reapply the money that came in after the fact. And actually, this last grant that came in was a grant that we never expected to receive. And at the last minute, it actually came in and it had 2 positions in it. That's the reason why we're having to redo if we go ahead with this.
Where are we gonna pull 50,000 matching funds from?
We do have, earlier in the year, one of your original recommendations when we were doing the budget was to increase our contingency funds, and
We'll pull it from there.
and that was done. And because we knew these grant positions were coming up, and that we wanted to make sure that we could cover it in the case of, and that is a contingency type situation, so the recommendation would be to cover that from the contingency, and there is the money in there to cover it.
What about their forfeiture fund? Their forfeiture fund that they have, I'm not sure what their balance would be in that. We could recover some money, or use some money out of that as well. I don't know how I haven't looked at their budget since we got through a budget process, so I wouldn't know.
They said that it was already figured in.
Already
It was
figured in.
completed, yes, sir.
Okay.
This is something we can do, no hiccups, I mean, we okay doing it?
We're going to have to.
Yes, sir, I think that you can accept the grants and set up the positions and approve a transfer of the matching funds at a later time, yes, sir, by using this special budget for the grant positions.
I do know it would sure help them get some more of these cases on
bet.
through, so I'm gonna make a motion that we accept.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Counselor. All right, item number 19, discussion action on budget transfer from county maintenance. R&M facilities, $2,000 to grounds upkeep, $2,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 20, discussion action on budget transfer from IT department $1,000 from capital outlay to $1,000 in training personnel.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 21, discussion action on budget transfer from Justice Peace Precinct 1. Let's see here, we got dues and publications of $350, R&M office equipment of $500, printing and forms of $500, all going to office supplies of $1350. Gentlemen,
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 22, discussion action on budget transfer from County Constable Precinct Number 2. Office supplies in the amount of $800, R&M patrol equipment in the amount of $500, to supplies for patrol at $1,300.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 23, discussion action on budget transfer from Road and Bridge Number 3. Transfer from culverts in the amount of $100, carryover in the amount of $20,000 to training personnel $100, and hardtop roads $20,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Discussion action on budget transfer from Road and Bridge Precinct Number 4, carryover of $10,000 to parts and shop of $10,000.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 25, discussion action on budget transfer from juvenile detention. Grounds of $300, office supplies $200, training personnel $334, training personnel of $2,000, to supplies of $834.66, and food of $2,000. Gentlemen?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Hey.
I'll back up.
I do this every time, but I want the people to hear, to understand.
Good point.
When we go through these budget transfers, we've seen them for a couple of days. And I don't want y'all to think we're just sitting here just throwing money. We're not. We've already had a chance to look over them, and so that's why we can go through them pretty quickly.
It's not being rubber stamped.
Right, so we just want you guys to understand what's happening there. Thank you.
They just haven't been discussed until today.
No, we can't
None of us
discuss them
talked
until
to each
today.
other about it, so.
Anyhow, thank you very much.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 26, executive session. In accordance with section 551.071, 1A of the Texas Government Code, the Angelina County Commissioners Court will enter into a closed meeting for the following purpose: consultation with an attorney. Number one, the governmental body seeks advice of an attorney about pending or contemplated litigation. It is now 10:48, and we're going into executive session. The attorneys that are involved, please stay in. Everybody else, please wait just